For global bioethics, a tribute to Professor Hugo Christian Engelhardt, Jr. Give him big applause.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to have this chance to present the paper on Professor Engelhardt, beloved friends. And I think I have to give my special thanks to Professor Tai to allow me to present this paper. Well, our friend just passed away last June, a few months ago. We miss him a lot. So I think it's time to give my personal tribute to Professor Engelhardt. We have been friends over 20 years. I'm apologize for not presenting my paper yesterday because I had a class in the afternoon, so I forgot to make some preparation for that. So I'll present my paper today because my paper is a little bit long, so I will not do any further ado. Go directly to my paper. So all of this material comes from this great book here, the Foundation of Bioethics, the second edition. Actually, it has the first edition. And the major change between the two editions is the username. In the first edition, they use the principle of autonomy as its major principles. And then the thing is not too objective, in some sense, there's some kind of not quite reasonable implication using autonomy. The word autonomy is principle. So we change in the principle of permission. So in this book, the major principle is principle of permission. Anyway, I will present versus ideas first. Now, Professor Engelhardt has a keen observation of the modern world. He said it's a modern world now. And he specified some of the modern situations as follows. First, the postmodern world is a world of moral pluralism, of course. And we have different and diverse kinds of cultures. And we seem to have really to call cultural common moral principles. And no canon moral principle at all. So, with different cultures, diverse cultures, we seem to fall into a kind of crisis called cultural relativity and ethical relativity. And Professor Engelhardt wants us that everyone is living in a common secular society and with many different communities within the society. It actually comes two words because what's the point? Okay. It actually comes to two terms for his analysis of the secular society and the moral community. Secular society is the largest society. We have different conceptions of good. And the rest, of course, is liberal individualism. With no common faith, with liberty is supreme. Personal right is supreme in some sense. Okay. And in a moral community, we usually share a common moral authority. The best example may be the Protestants. They are found in some sense by the Bible because it's the word from God, and the earthly authority is the book. That is a moral community. Maybe for Buddhists, we have a maximum community according to the sutras. Okay, in Confucian, maybe we come back to an analysis. But moral issues could only be settled by common moral authority. And without common moral authority in a secular society, it means that many moral issues could not be solved unless there is a certain kind of consent. So in this world, we may be moral friends and sometimes moral strangers. Okay. Under the same faith and accepting the same common moral authority, we are moral friends. If not, then we are moral strangers. Even we are close friends or relatives or living under the same roof, we still are moral strangers. And unfortunately, moral issues between moral strangers could not be solved by moral laws. That's its main form here. And this is what I gather as his basic assumptions for a secular society. Individuals, no intimate relations, and which is free to do what he has. And freedom and privacy is supreme. Upon everyone, every person is got an atomic responsibility. Now the problem is, in this postmodern world, why there could not be an unjustified moral principles? Professor Engelhardt gave us a very meticulous analysis and examination of major ethical theories in the modern world. Actually, he examined 8 modern ethical theories and found each have a particular and unjustifiable assumptions. Now, the difficulty is that because every ethical theory has to do something, say, moral guidance. If you want to have moral guidance, you must have something substantial in moral determinations. And the problem is for any contentful moral obligations. Now this is, my paper has a lot of type. This is not a type, this is the work created by Prof. Engelhardt. He actually wants to say that there's contentful moral obligations, moral rights, and moral preference and variations. But for any contentful moral rights, there must be some moral premises or evidence or evidence or moral authority, but without justification. Actually, he examined these 8 theories. Whatever you find in the modern work or ethics, the last one is supposed to be a kind of remedies to cover any other kind of possible weapon form. Actually, he gave a very good and detailed analysis of each of these theories and argues why each failed to be a common and non-told moral principles. And in another way, he also presented as the problem with these different kinds of ethical principles is either it's on the content, on the form of moral reasoning, or it relying on some objective realities. But they all fail. Why? Because of these reasons. Because any appeal to particular moral content must beg the question of the sentence. Any appeal to a formal structure. Some of the theories, they appeal to formal structure. They provide no moral content, and therefore no content, no moral guidance. That is, it cannot guide us to make moral decisions. And appeal to any external reality, so what is, and not what ought to be. And this involves the problem of influence from what is to what ought. So they all failed. He said. Now this is my personal summary of this whole argument. Because you have been contemplative theory, there must some kind of moral premises, moral intuition, and these kind of things that are arguable. So you cannot have a common non-controversial moral principles, moral authority. So, upon this analysis, the final outcome would be content-less principle, purely formal one. And if the content is filled by the individual or by the groups or by the communities. Okay. But pure formal principle is reckless. And Engelhardt does not argue for it, and he need not argue for it. But it has to be adopted voluntarily for certain reasons. But the reasons are not justifications. For example, you say you have to admit the principle of permission. Why? Because you don't want to fight against each other. Okay. You want to make a peaceable society. To make a peaceful society, then you have to respect the determination or the permission of the others before you could do anything on him or her. So, the solution to the moral issues in secular society by means of the principle of permission. This is the reformulation, the second edition. In the first edition, he used the principle of autonomy, just as we usually quote. I'm not able to come over about why the reason we don't want to use the principle of autonomy. Oh, okay. So, why do we accept the principle of autonomy? Because either we live peaceably or we determined by force. And to live peaceably, we need the permission of the other to do anything on him or her. Okay. So peace is consent, the permission of the person. But this notice that only person could make consent or permission. And later on, the Engelhardt, this 4 criteria for being a person. That means for being able to make permission. But this principle of permission is very powerful principle. And actually, it builds up the systematic theory of bioethics and to derive almost what we want with the bioethical studies. Now, how permission is legitimate? Okay. The requirement for a legitimate consent is personal. So you must be a person before your permission or your consent is legitimate. That means respect. Okay. Now that's 4 conditions. Actually, the first condition is the person is a self-conscious person, conscious being. It's a rational being and have a minimal moral sense, and lastly, it is considered as free. This is the 4 characteristics of being a person. So, anyone in being not satisfied these 4 conditions is not a person. In some sense, a wrong person. Maybe a small child or a baby is a wrong person. A fetus, of course, is a wrong person. So that's I call what is that? This 4 characteristics: self-conscious, rationality, moral sense, and freedom. Identify those entities that do a moral discourse. And then this sorry, the principle of permission applies only to such beings. So actually it comes very close to our common understanding or common experience in talking many of the bioethics issues. So we talk about autonomy, and the application of autonomy means you have to have a kind of legitimate consent process. But this is only applicable to person in Engelhardt's sense. So this shows the importance of person. And I would like to raise some questions for your consideration. So what is the difference between human being and animals in general? Why only human being or person can make change? Why animals? So actually I start here to make my own reflections about Engelhardt's theories. I think the principle of permission points out the human conditions, because person is a relative concept, and the basic element of this concept is freedom of will, making more laws for himself, conscious and self-conscious. The purpose of ends of their time, maybe I have a little addition to understanding of person. Actually, this are all the characteristics that the Greek philosopher Kant input to a person. But why the condition must be valued and respected? If you understand the basic condition of being a person or not, is whether means hurting his or her dignity, merely means for other lessons. Now, Engelhardt doesn't seem to give a good reason why we have to accept the principle of permission. He only says that because we want to live peaceable together, so we do that. So it seems to imply that if we don't want to live peaceable together, then the principle of permission has no application. But I want to point out that the principle of permission actually considers significant human conditions. So the more I want to say, the more state of person in some, the highest has the highest moral status. Some of like I go with first. So from permission, I could infer to the various person and to life in general. And I think what is important is because as a person, we have certain kind of moral sense and moral self-consciousness that we should treat others equal and fair. Okay. And then the different life could have different moral status. That's our common moral experience about all living things. So I was going to say that it is bioethics. I think authority can have all the right to come and death. So Prof. Engelhardt doesn't use this big term in his second edition. Why? Because I think what is behind the principle of permission is actually the autonomy of the person. If the person has any legitimate status to give permission, it is yours. He or she is autonomous. So, I think this would be extended to cover even non-autonomous beings. So, it's almost the end of my speech. For human society must be more competitive. We could not just be a secular society. I mean, secular doesn't mean in the concept of a kind of theoretical society. But every human society must also be more competitive. Why? Because we are we are a person with autonomy. By autonomy means that we make moral law for ourselves. Okay. And this is before setting up any community, any society. Kant is this book of a very famous stage that when two persons meet anywhere, their first duty is to form a community or a society, a civil society. That means because of this will to freedom, person has the duty, the first duty to form civil union with any other people. And then that means it would be a moral community. So it's not building on certain particular kind of faith. It builds on our honor. So I would say that from this theory, we may have a kind of global bioethics with the person, but we may talk about it later. So in conclusion, I would like to give the practice and point out the contribution of the last year to bioethics. Now actually, bioethics is one of the most systematic theories of the field. The one that I enjoy very much and talk very often in my classes. And I think the important point is, even though he seems to reject autonomy, actually he revealed the human condition, the importance of the freedom of people. That's most important. I think in his book gives us a very systematic position on almost all bioethical issues. I think this is what he deserves that admiration. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Dr. And let me introduce the next speaker, Sorai Hongnat. He is a professor of philosophy and director of the Center for Ethics of Science and Technology at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok, Thailand. He has published bioethics and articles on such diverse issues as bioethics, computer ethics, and the roles that science and technology plays in
These marks might be working. You can use these marks to solve.
I just want to ask a question, sir. Suraj Engelhardt, Mahayana Buddhism and Theravada Buddhism. You should have also mentioned the different types of Buddhism that is being followed in Asia, the whole of Asia. It is different. It is market Buddhism in Japan. It is Theravada Buddhism means the Buddhists, they carry guns, they carry knives. I have been to Sri Lanka and I have been to the temple where I have seen the monks carrying guns and the knives. That means they might even go to the extent of killing others. That is the difference. Mahayana Buddhism is the only Buddhism which is the greatest, and you have pointed out that people who are Buddhists should eat only that which is very, very little. And even in India, the spirituality and religion teaches people, Hindu religion also teaches people, you should eat only one time a day, one meal a day. The rest of the time you take only water, juice, or maybe little snacks, that is all. And you shouldn't be eating non-vegetarian food. Buddhists are supposed to be vegetarians. That you were very clear, sir, and you also mentioned about the Epicureans. And I am very happy to listen to you when you have blamed even the Thailand people where they are giving the Buddhists very rich food, and it will result in most of the Buddhists, most of the people who eat too much, they will die very quickly. They will die very soon. It is better to eat little so that you will live longer in your life. Thank you so much for your lecture.
So I think that okay, there is a kind of question when you talk about monks carrying guns. In Thailand, monks are not allowed to, it's illegal. Even ordinary people, they cannot just carry guns. Not like in the US, but in Thailand, we have a stronger gun laws than in the US. So people cannot just tote their guns like cowboys. Especially monks, monks are supposed to be, and their robes cannot contain any pockets, so they cannot carry unless they carry a bag. So I don't know all the details in what is happening in Sri Lanka. Maybe they have to defend themselves. I don't know. But in Thailand, if monks have to go to dangerous areas, they have to have attendants. In some areas in Thailand, especially in the deep south near the Malaysian border, where there are problems with groups of Muslims, minorities, there are majorities there, and they want to have more autonomy and so on. And sometimes some military in that area attack monks when they come out to the village asking for food. So they have to be accompanied by police in order to prevent this kind of attack.
And the monks in Sri Lanka, I have been there from 1970 to the present. Mostly every 2 years I go there. I see them sitting in the parliament. They get elected and they go to the parliament. The monks. That's the reason why I said.
Yeah, in Thailand, they're not allowed to get involved in politics.
Yeah.
So it's different.
I am also, my question is for the postulants that you would compare the European and the Asian eating habits. It's a very interesting. Epicurus, his philosophy was towards the eating, and that is the pleasure of the life. But the Buddhism, that is the restriction of the food, or the restraint, or the control of the food. But you have shown that the monk are eating many foods by the population, by the Thai population. And my question is, you have also said that the monk life is a very restricted life, they have many restrictions. But though they have many restrictions and they have the teaching, but even though they don't have the control on self, on footing habit, you have shown that. So my question is there any shortcoming of teaching of Buddhist monk?
Yes, thanks for the question. The rules for monks include one that forbids monks from eating anything after 12 noon. So before that they are allowed to eat, and after that they are supposed to do meditation or study or do their own work. So they are not allowed. They are allowed to drink water, but the water cannot contain any sugar and so on. So that's the rule for every monk. in the country, every monk who follows the Theravada tradition, which is most everyone in Thailand anyway. And on top of this basic rule, some monks may choose to be more kind of strict. They want to practice harder than other monks. It's their choice. So most monks in Thailand have two meals, the breakfast and the lunch. So breakfast is around 7 a.m., lunch is 11 a.m., and then they have to stop eating by 12 noon. But some monks choose to have only one meal in a day. So either lunch or breakfast. They have some have one big breakfast and that's it for the day. They carry on. They don't eat anything except drinking pure water throughout the day. So it's their choice if they want to go beyond the basic rules. But as to the questions of how or why Thai people give such rich food to monks, it's the belief that by giving things, food things to monks, the giver, the people accumulate merits, what we call merits, translated into English. If you have a lot of merits, then you can go to heaven. So the lay people, by giving this food to monks, they believe that when they die, they go to heaven, or they will become rich or beautiful or whatever, intelligent, or they will be born in a high status family in their next life. Yeah. So that is why they believe that this high fat, high cholesterol food is good thing. So they give all those to monks, but monks have to accept, and it's their duty that the rules say they cannot refuse anything given to them. They have to accept, and they cannot. They are not allowed. It's not like in a monk it's not like a Mahayana temple where the Chinese or the Taiwanese monks can cook their own food. Thai monks are not allowed to cook their own food. They have to eat whatever given to them. So that's the problem.
About the palliative care. Okay.
Thank you for a very interesting discussion on ethics and ethics. Eating is very interesting. And in my mind, we can take from the health professionals that eating sometimes is a good eating, not good food. Good food and not good food. But from bioethics, it's also we are thinking about eating for the disadvantaged group of people and eating for the advantaged group of people. So what do you think about that, the difference?
Yeah. Thank you very much for this very important question that requires another paper. It's an issue about social justice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How we can consider an ethical issue when poor people they we don't talk about rich food or high fat, high cholesterol. Some very poor people, their more important matter is survival. Anything that is available to them is good for them. So how can we alleviate this kind of condition? So that requires whole work, politics, law, and on that. I don't know how to say more specifically. In Thailand, we have a kind of social welfare society. It's not perfect, but at least we have some kind of social welfare. And people are or tend to be charitable. Is perhaps part of their being Buddhist. So there are places where they give out free food to people who need them. mostly organized by the Chinese people in Thailand. So that is what is happening. But of course, there still are people who go hungry every day, even in Thailand. One of the world's food producers.
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity to question. First of all, I like to thank all the presenters for their brilliant presentation. My first question is for first presenter. That is, who will be the stakeholder to give informed consent in a terminally ill patient who is not in a position to take decision? Number one. And regarding eating, you have given many aspects of Buddhism and typical religion, but have you any idea about eating of Muslims?
I have not done the research on that. I would like to if I have more time.
Okay, I can give you give some idea about the eating ethics of Muslim religion. We should obey the Quran and Sunnah to demarcate the haram and halal. We should take halal food and avoid the haram, as it was nicely described in the Holy Quran and also in the Sunnah. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about the first paper, ethical issues of terminal cancer patients in receiving palliative care. I have done one paper on beginning of life and end of life. I presented a paper in Iran, where I had to make a survey of the types of hospitals with palliative care for not only cancer but also HIV. It is always outside the city, outside the urban area. It will be closer to the rural area. And there will be more people.
I'm sorry to say that I'm not presenting the paper on cancer.
Okay.
That's the first speaker.
Yeah, I was told that she
You are the one
has to go back to Taipei.
Don't worry.
He gave you a philosophical answer.
Yeah, we have
What is how they get cancer? We were able to judge.
Yeah, we have only 3 minutes to listen.
It's because of
The first question, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, Professor. Yes. Yeah. I have two questions. I'll make it very short. Okay. The first one is to Professor Lee. I was listening very attentively to your presentation just now. Now, well, the person that you were referring to, Engelhardt, did a demarcation or differentiation between circular society and moral community mentioned in the slides. Very interesting. Now, my question to you is, in Confucianism, which is you are expert in that field, how do you demarcate this, or rather, how do you reconcile the different element of secularism in our society that gives us different moral standings? You know, I mean, I may be a Hindu, but I'm also belonging to a academic fraternity which subscribe to a certain different sets of values. Or I may be a person who lives in Africa or in Asia, but since I'm associated with an international corporate organization that subscribes to a certain sets of values, so therefore I'm also a secular person as well as a traditionalist person. Now, how do you reconcile this, especially when it comes to certain issues? You know, when there's some issues that emerges, which sets of moral standing that you want to look at or adopt? That's my question to you. To Swaraj, interesting, food ethics. You know, I always thought that food is always an interesting topic. And when you were mentioning about epicalism, I immediately Googled, and the first thing that was in the Google search was they said that there is nothing. The only thing is between atom and space. Everything else is not important. So that's a very basic assumption of that. Now, I'd like to know, have you done anything on because Thailand also receives much of its value systems from the Indic civilization, from India especially. And the idea of food as a way of life or dharma, as a virtue, which is being promoted, which is part of Hinduism, is number one. And number two, the other one, in addition to nutrition, food ethics also provides you with mannerism and levels of politeness. Am I right? There's a food ethics, the way you eat, what you not to eat, and things like that. And also the concept of eating from the land, very interestingly, there was this religious leader in India, he was saying that you eat from the land and you go back to the land. So that is the whole idea of vegetarianism, in addition to non-killing. What is your take on this? How does this manifest itself in the case of Thailand?
We need to quick answers. Sorry. We need to quick answers. Answer.
Time is up.
Very quick answers.
Okay, and thank you very much for the question about very typical problem. This is whether we could solve many moral issues cross-culturally or even cross-societies. According to Engelhardt's conception, the limit is we treat each other as members of the secular society. In that sense, then we have to attach and to the principle of permission. Without permission, nothing to be done. Okay, unless they become invasive to other people. Okay. According to my Confucian conception of life, now actually my final concluding sentence is that for Confucian, I think as well as for even country, we are all in a moral community, though we may be coming from different societies. Now, just for example, when we're sitting around here, we have different faiths, different cultures, and different things, but we still treat each other as a moral person, right? Moral person. So that means whatever kind of variety of society we are in, the basic principle is still a moral principle. That we respect you and we don't force you to anything. Right? But for Confucian, why we doing that? It's because hurting other people raises our conscience comes up. It prohibits us to do harm to others. Without doing harm to other people, that means you respect their determination as well. I think this
Brian for the leader. Brian for the leader. Moral men and immoral society. Theology. Brian for the leader. Brian for the leader.
It's a philosopher. How can you know it? That's the mention. Quick answer to Ravi's question. I understand the question to be about how we should kind of change our eating habit in order to be friendly to the land. And many people who in food ethics are arguing for vegetarianism. And for me, I would like to become a vegetarian if there are more vegetarian food available that taste good, and I don't have to change my everyday habit too much, but it can be done. And there is a research that if we stop eating meat and we eat beans instead of meat, then like 60-70% of the problems of global warming can be solved, because feeding cows that takes a lot of bad things toward the climate.
Okay, let's call it plenary symposium for. Thank you for your presentation and helpful discussions. And please continue discussions during a coffee break. Thank you very much.